Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Speed Talk. This is episode 19, and tonight we got the pleasure of being joined by Bakersfield, California driver TM3 Troy Morris III. Troy, welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. No, we just wanted to get you on here. Like I said, I was talking with these boys. Didn't know a lot about you. I watched back at the Frostbuster, I think early April. I kind of watched you kick ass down in Marshalltown. Like I want to get this dude on and talk to him. So just take us a little bit, take us through a little bit of who you are, your connection into racing, and just who's Troy Morris.
That's a good question. I started racing when I was 6 years old. My dad raced when he started racing in like 1998 or something. He was a first generation racer, so obviously I grew up around the sport. Growing up in California, I got to race mini dwarfs. They're a little local division we have at one of my home tracks, and they're like basically caged go karts. And then I moved up to the open wheel world. I always had a big fascination with sprint cars, so I ran micro sprints for a little bit. Then I ran a USAC midget for a little bit, but that got really expensive, especially out in California. So dad says, I used to race or he still had a modified at the time, so he let me hop in it for a race during COVID. It was the end of 2020 or right in the middle of 2020. We went to Cortez, Colorado. It's the only place racing in the country, I think. And he let me drive his modified, and I kind of fell in love. So I got a modified when I was 16, and I'm 20 now, and I've been riding one ever since. Absolutely love it. I get to run about 70 to 80 nights a year normally. And now that we moved to Iowa, so I live in Waterloo, Iowa. Well, for the most part. I actually have to head back to California here soon, but I get to race. I'll get to race even more. So I'm just thrilled to be doing what I love and chasing dreams.
So, question for you, Troy sandwiches. What's that all about?
So my dad has always been. I'm Troy the third, obviously. So my dad's a Troy too. So people think it's me. It's not me. It's my dad. But he's always wanted to start a restaurant. That's kind of been his goal the last several years. So we had a food truck for a minute in California. But when we moved out here, this was his main goal was to start Troy Sandwiches or any restaurant for that fact. So we opened about 3 weeks ago. We just had our grand opening on Monday, so we've only really officially been open for 4 days. But it's our new venture for business.
Dang, so
So,
that's like new.
It's brand new.
Okay.
So I
Yeah,
guess we can say our title sponsor for episode 19 of Speed Talk will be Troy's Sandwiches.
perfect. That works. I'll send you guys some subs.
Perfect.
So
Right.
are you like a Jimmy John's Subway type of deal, or what's the specialty? Like, are we doing cold meat, toasted? What's
No,
the
everything's like oven baked sandwiches. So it's kind of hard to explain because it's really nothing that exists. He kind of made it up. There's places that are similar, but it's all of our bread's fresh made every day. I'm gonna plug my dad's place real quick. All our bread is fresh
Go
made
for
every
it.
day, and everything's freshly sliced. All the meats, whatever you want to call it, and then everything's assembled in a line, and then it's put on a grill. Everything's mixed together. The cheese is melted, then it's put up inside a salamander, and the bread is crisped and buttered and bubbly, and then it gets sent right out to the customer. So everything's hot, crispy, fresh, buttery. Everything's
Fuck,
covered
he's
in
making me
butter.
I'm
hungry.
hungry.
Yeah, dude, that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
I swear to you, it's nothing. It's unlike nothing you've ever had. I have a friend here in Iowa who came in last week and got the sandwich, and then he sent me a snap today. He says, "I had Jimmy John's today. I took 2 bites and threw it in the trash. It just sucks compared to your place." So
So
I
now,
said,
is
"I
this
said
in
perfect."
Waterloo?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Okay,
actually in the building right now. My iRacing setup, this is my gaming console setup. Everything's
cool.
here because it's actually a 20,000 square foot building. It's a big old building. But we're only using 2,000 square feet of it right now. So I get to have my little room here with the iRacing and all that stuff set up. So it's kind of cool.
Awesome.
Gotta get some
Yeah.
hardware up on the walls.
Oh, I know. I planned on hanging some stuff up in here at one point, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna wait till we build a house or get a house back here before I start moving all that stuff again. Because I had my room so full in California, I had to have stuff on the ceiling, and so
Jeez.
it's a
I
lot,
wish I had that problem.
No shit.
right? Right.
I got one trophy I'm sitting here staring at, salivating over, and probably be a long time before I get another one.
Oh gosh, that's funny, dude.
But so like I said, you moved out to Waterloo now. What's I guess what's the shift been like, going from racing out there on the coast to, being in the Midwest, racing in, Iowa, Minnesota, kind of some of the best racing in the country kind of happens in the Midwest. What's that transition been like for you?
Honestly, I was a little prepared for it already because I used to come back every summer and run over here, and that's what made us move here. Is just we'd come back. First, we started coming out. I'd race the big races. Like, granted, this is only my 4th year in a modified, so it's not like I have some crazy amount of experience out here. But we come back and race Boone and a couple of races around Boone, and then one year we're like, okay, we're gonna go for like 3 months. So we came back here for like 3 months, and then I met Jeff Aikey, who's I don't know if you know Jeff Aikey. He's a late model legend around here. Yeah, and he told me one time we were at dinner because we just become friends in some crazy way. And if you guys want, I'll get into that. But it's a pretty cool story. And he told me one night sitting at dinner, he's like, "Hey, I want you to come back and stay with me for like the whole summer." And I was like, I look at my dad, I was like, "Hey, like, like, hey, And my dad was like, "Absolutely not," right away, right? Because I'm an employee, I work for my dad. So, and then we talked about it. I was like, "Hey, you realize this is kind of like a once in a, like you got to let me kind of do this." And so I came out for 3 months to stay with Aikey in 23, and then by the time 24 rolled around, we came back and ran a couple more nights. And my dad was like, "We're for sure totally moving here." So I was like, "Thank God." I mean, I was so ready to get out of the coast. Like the coast, with the West Coast, racing in Arizona and California and all that. California is just rough and tumble, beating and banging compared to out here. I'm not going to trash California like crazy, but compared to out here, it's just you race one night a week if you're lucky on a Saturday because we have 20 tracks in California, not really 15 tracks in California, but they all race on Saturdays. Every single one of them except for one, and that one is 5 hours away, and I'm not going to drive 5 hours every Friday night. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
You get to race one night a week if you're lucky. And then when I go to Arizona, I only usually go to Arizona in the winter because that's the only place that races in the winter. But I love racing in Arizona. I got to actually have a lot of good friends in Arizona, so I miss that a little bit. But racing out here, you get to run 4 or 5 nights a week, and you're racing against the best people in the country. When I first came out to the Midwest, I went to Nebraska. That was the first state we stopped in. I was just in awe. I went to I-80 before it closed down, and it
That place
rained.
is so
I didn't
cool.
even. Yeah, I didn't even get to get in the pits. It rained out as I was pulling up. I'm like, great. So we called somebody. We're like, hey, we're gonna go stop at a truck stop or something. We had no idea that tracks were this close out here. He's like, no, drive 30, 45 minutes down the road and come to Eagle. I was like, it's that close? They're like, yeah, they're racing right now. So we pulled up to Eagle and I got to race. And then I had never really experienced a track in the Midwest yet. And this was just a weekly show. And Johnny Sadoff was there. Jordan Grabowski was there. Dylan Smith was there. All these national modified champions. And I'm like, is this a special? Like, why are these guys here? Little did I realize that all these big guys have to have a weekly track to race at too. So it kind of just blew my mind. I was like, wow, no matter where you go, there's just some standout driver there. So like I went up to, it's called Interstate now, but back then it was called New Raceway Park in South Dakota. And I'm like, okay, surely there's not going to be any big names here. Like it's a little tiny track. People talked a lot of crap about it. I love it, but people talked a lot of crap about it. I'm like, okay, maybe I could cherry pick something here, and I show up in like Shane DeMay on those next to me and Cody Thompson on those next to me. And I'm just like, there's nowhere I can go out here to try to cherry pick a win, And so
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is the competition. There's tracks in California that you go and the caliber of drivers, who you're racing with. And nothing against the California drivers, but they get to race one night a week. So, I mean, you know what I mean? So then I come out here and I just see all this competition and it made me grow so much as a driver and the different track surfaces, the different dirt combinations, the different shapes and sizes. Like everything in California is sticky clay, gumbo stuff for the most part, brown, black dirt, and it's hooked up when it's hooked up. I mean, it's slick when it's slick, but the slick out here, like Deer Creek, is something else. You know what I mean? Like I showed up there with my IMCA stuff the first year, and I was just like, dude, like I'm on a cushion and it feels like ice. So that was weird. And then all the tracks in California are super small. Not a lot of them have a wall. And then you come out here and it's small tracks, big tracks, medium tracks, and the people are like, oh, that track ain't even big. You got to go here. So like I went to Clay County in Spencer, Iowa, and I was like, oh, this track's pretty big compared to anything I have at home. And they're like, this is nothing. And then I went to Webster City, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they were right. You know what I mean? Like I'm parked in the infield of this place, standing on top, and I still can't see three.
You made the redraw that night, didn't you? In the USMT race?
Did
I remember
you
that.
did you win a heat?
I won a heat during a weekly US race show there, I think.
Okay.
And then so the first week I went to Webster City, I was leading the feature.
That's
what it
was. That's what it was.
First ever night in an open car. That was a brand new race car as my performer. I had never driven it before, and so I'm leading this thing in a new car and an open motor on a new track. And I'm like, okay, like Kyle Brown and Tryock are in second. I'm thinking we might be okay. And then like 10 laps in, I have a 3-second lead, and the car goes bah, 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 and just shuts off on me. Well, I didn't. Brand new car, figuring out stuff. The ground wire on the ignition came loose. So the car shut off, and my hopes and dreams right there just flew out the window.
Leading a USMTS feature. That
exactly.
sucks.
Oh, it was so miserable. I was so bummed out. But I mean, the car is cool, so that was cool. But learned a lot. Check your wiring.
Yeah.
So performer chassis, what's the connection there? How do you get tied in with them guys?
Honestly, it was just kind of I'm a very loyal guy. I know there's not a lot of loyalty left in racing anymore. I'm not a chassis whore. You know what I'm saying? Victory Circle chassis is what I started in, and they're built in Bakersfield, California, where I'm from. I could get to their shop in 10 minutes. And they're really great race cars. I'm still really close with the guy that I dealt with, Chris Stevenson. They call him the Magic Man. He's a big part of my life, almost like family now. And so I still keep in contact with him. But I was with Victory Circle for the first 3 years, and then we knew we were moving to the Midwest. And if I junk a race car, I don't want to have to go to California to fix it. So we just, I got to race against Tim Ward a lot. And the year Tim Ward debuted his performer, he won everything. He won all, as many nights as I can remember at Winter Nationals in Cocopa. Then he went and won the Dakota Tour Championship in the first night of Dakota Tour. And then he won Super Nationals in the same year. And we're just like, damn. You know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. And so I'm not just a guy that chases the car that wins all the time, because I know there's a lot more to it. So we did our digging and we did some research. We talked to Chris. We talked to Andy Eckridge, the guy who owns him and his brothers own Precision Performance and Performer Chassis. And realistically, it was just the way we wanted to go. We kind of thought about Vanderbilt, kind of thought about some things here and there. I had some people kind of offer me, hey, come drive this, come try that. And I was like, okay, and I thought about it, and really we just settled on Performer, and I'm very happy with my decision. I mean, I'm going to be real honest. I liked it at first as a USMTS car, but my first night as an IMCA car, I was so lost. I had no idea. Well, this is going to totally kind of disrupt the point I just made. But I went out in Wairika, California, a track I'd never been to. And I went out in hot laps, and I was like, this thing is awful. I feel like I'm going 2 miles an hour. And then we look at the lap times, and I'm quick time in hot laps. And I was like, surely there's a mistake. And then we qualified that night. There was time trials that night. And we went out, and I was like, that felt like garbage. I come out, I told my dad, I said, surely that's 20th. And he's like, you're quick time. And I was just like, you know what I mean? So it just took me a second to realize that they have such different feels, and the gearing in this car is way different than the gearing. The gearing in the Performer, I'm 20 points taller a gear than any gear I ran in the BC. It's just so strange. So little learning curves, but I'm very happy with my Performer.
Yeah, you've been, every time, like I said, every time I've watched you, dude, you've been lights out. I watched you wheel the shit out of it down at Gateway last year. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, that was actually the Victory Circle, because the Victory Circle being built on the West Coast, it made for those rough racetracks. I knew it would be perfect at the Dome. So we threw my Mullins USMTS motor in, put on some chain links, and we just went in completely blind. My first lap on that racetrack was qualifying. We don't get any hot laps or anything. And three out of the 4 times I was on that racetrack, I broke. So I had a really fast car. I was passing Shannon. I was passing Michael Long in the heat race for the lead, and killed the car. I went into the bottom and hit the brakes, and it stalled. And so I went to dead last in the heat race and got back up to a transfer. And then there's a viral video of me on TikTok.
Riding the wall?
Yeah. Well, jumping through the holes, riding the wall. It broke absolutely everything in the left rear. Just sheared all the suspension in the left rear and broke the right front, or popped the right front tire. So I pulled off, didn't finish the heat race. And then I didn't have time to fix the left rear suspension before the B main. So I went out in the B main with no left rear shock, no left rear chain. I was like, well, they said put on a show. I'm going to go put on a show. And I just went and ripped the fence for the whole B main, And then Saturday rolls around, and it's LCQ time. And I know my car is really good right around the bottom for some reason. I'm usually kind of known, I should say, known for ripping the fence. And I was like, well, I start on the bottom. I'm going to go run the bottom. And so taking the green, I was like, I need to get to that moisture right there and hit the infield wall. Taking the green, smoked the left front tire, broke the tie rod off the left front, popped the tire, snapped all whatever you want to, bent the lower over there, just ripped it off, lost brakes immediately. And so the yellow comes out the first lap in the race. I'm like, the guy, one of the officials that's in the actual Gateway shirts, one of the higher up guys, he comes over and he's like, hey, your left front's broke. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you don't want to pull in? I was like, I'm going to try. He's like, okay. You know what I mean? So I can see Cody somewhere, he's in the infield, he's looking, and I'm like, I just give him a thumbs up out the window, and he just goes like that. So I take off again, and I can't run the bottom. I have no brakes. I can't even keep the car up on the restarts. I'm trying to bar it up, and it just falls because the brake pedal goes to the floor. And a place you need brakes is the Dome. You need brakes. So I start sending it up around the top, like, okay, because in the drivers meeting at the dome, Cody says, okay, modifieds, you guys are invite only. I need you to put on a show because that's why I invited you. And I'm thinking, he says, if you want to get invited back, make me invite you back. And I'm thinking, I could do something here. You know what I
Here's
mean?
my
Not gonna make the
opportunity.
show.
Exactly. I didn't mean to do what I did. Nobody ever means to do what I did, but what I did worked. I sent it up around the top, hit a hole, and it biked. And usually when it bikes, I set it down with the brakes, but that pedal went to the floor, and so I hit the gas instead, and it saved it, rubbed my roof along the catch fence, and just Ross Chastained on two wheels for a second, dug it in the dirt. and then I'm doing an interview, and I can hear the crowd. There's 35,000 people in there, and everybody's cheering, and I'm talking to the I can't remember which guy I was talking to, but one of the interviewers down there, and he's running alongside the car, while I'm in the car. And Jerry Vanson goes on the mic like, well, that's one way to get an invite back, make him chase you while you do an interview. And I thought I was king of the world. And I get out of the car in the infield, and I'm watching, and then they're about to take a checkered, and homie flips to the fence in that same race. I'm like, there goes all my freaking thunder, dude.
Took it right from you.
Like, gosh dang, I had the spotlight for 2 seconds. But no, I have it worked because on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, that video, one of the videos has 1 million on Facebook, 1 million on Instagram,
Holy.
555,000 on TikTok. So I have some of the most viral videos of the weekend, which is what he wanted.
Right.
So I'm hoping I get an invite back, not to do the same thing, but to hopefully do better this time.
To win that sucker.
Exactly.
It sucks that they don't give you. I've always thought that's weird that late models get to hot lap before they time in, but the mods don't. I've never understood that. Like people seeing it for the first time and then having to time in. I don't know. It's just a lot to take in.
Yeah, if you've been, you have the biggest advantage. Like I went out almost last in qualifying, and I ended up like 15 out of 30 or something like that. So it wasn't horrible, but I went out having I didn't know what gear to run. I didn't know how tight the car needed to be because the dirt there is kind of like crummy, kind of silty. So I went out and just beat the boards down in qualifying. Like I have the coolest picture. My car is doing a complete wheelie. Like both front tires are off the ground because my rear bumper is on the wall. Like it, you know what I mean? Like the rear bumper got caught on the wall, so it picked up the front tires. And like it's my profile, it's my background picture on Facebook and stuff because it's so sick. Anyway, I went out there and I just hammered it down and learned I had to be way tighter than I thought I had to be because that track is just that silty, weird,
hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, and so
it's like powdery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware, but to use that dirt or the dirt that they use inside the dome is the same dirt they use for monster trucks when they come, when Supercross comes. It has to be all the same dirt. So it gets used several times a year, and I think they say it sits outside. So the fact that they can come in and build it and it be as good as it is kind of a miracle.
Yeah.
So and then you go out and you're looking up, you know what I mean? Because the stands are around you everywhere. And then the track is the most well-lit racetrack you've ever been on. It feels like iRacing. You know what I mean? It's just like bright. And so you're looking around, and then there's the billboards that are on that say like Gateway Dirt in December, and the banners are everywhere. And then they yell green, 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 and you're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? And you take off. I mean, it is just the coolest, by far the coolest. Like I've raced the Chili Bowl, I've raced the Shootout, and it is my favorite indoor race I've ever been to. It is the coolest thing.
It's such a cool event.
I was hoping you were gonna get that late model ride here today. I was like watching Facebook. I'm like, how cool would it be if he gets a dirt late model ride and then we have him on our podcast tonight?
Right, dude. I was honestly I woke up this morning like, wait a minute, today's the day, And I got excited because out of 1,500 people in the comment section, he picked me as one of the 50, and I was like, okay, And then he made that video yesterday, and he's like, yeah, this guy that I picked, he definitely wouldn't have been going to the dream without us. He, it's somebody who didn't have this opportunity, and I'm thinking, surely he's not going to pick somebody that has a late model. You know what I mean? Like He's going to pick somebody. With that, I got all excited, and then somebody texted me last night. He's like, hey, he picked an IMCA guy, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I said, don't tell me who it is. I want to find out tomorrow. And he's like, okay. And then, because like for the dome, people told me, oh, he'll message you before to make sure you're still down and then put the post out there. He didn't message me jack. I found out the day he posted the list, and I screamed like a little girl. I was like, I ran through the house like, Dad, what? You know what I mean? So I was kind of hoping today that I'd get off work and look at my phone and then just start crying. You know what I mean? Like, and then Dylan, I'm super hyped for Dylan Thornton. Like, that is great. We grew up 2 hours away from each other in California. We raced all the same tracks together growing up. He's a little bit older than I am, not by much, but he's super well deserving of that. He's a wheelman for sure. So that's exciting to see. Granted, I was a little jealous. I wish it was me, but maybe one day, hopefully sooner in the future, I got a late model ride coming, but you guys would be the first to know about it.
That'd be sweet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever driven one?
No, not
Never.
even hot lap one. Not even driven one through the pits. I've sat in one, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Neither.
that's like me wanting to drive a modified someday. I race a V mod and I gotta pull my brother's car in a circle the other day and I thought that was so cool, getting to feel the thing kind of
I
hike
was gonna
up. I'm
say, just
like,
think, take your ass in the air.
Yeah, well, that's funny that you bring that up because I used to race midgets. You know, they kind of lay over the right rear a little bit, but they're more left rear driven. Like with a midget, to get drive through the slick, you tie it on the left rear shock and you get it to go like that. You know what I mean? And then so the first time I got into modified, I turned left and barred it up, and I was like, oh, you know what I mean? Surely it doesn't feel that weird, and I thought I was gonna flip, like it laid over. I was just like, goodness gracious. And then like at the dome, people kept texting me like, I could show you on my phone on one of my TikToks. There's 50 comments of people, how much drop did you run in the left rear? I'm like, dude, it's not even that much, but the thing is just absolutely yawed up the whole time. And then what I had to tell him is, hey, I didn't have a shock or a chain. That's why it's that. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
she's
That's
just
why it's that far. Yeah, so it's funny that you say
Needed a
yeah.
photographer to capture that left rear during that race.
that. Right. Yeah, and then I have a picture of my car completely off the ground, like sideways, and all four tires are at least a foot off the ground. And I wish he could have got it in focus. It's a little blurry, but it's still one of the coolest pictures I've ever gotten. Like the whole car is level, like the car is level in the air, like it's trippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I heard you. I want to kind of go back. You said something about the Super Nationals. You want to race the Super Nationals last year. That was a pretty big deal. Take us through that one.
That was crazy. That was obviously coming from the West Coast. Everybody knows the Super Nationals is the big deal. And then obviously I had been a couple years before. That wasn't the first year I had made the show, but it was the first year I had done that well. You know, so I Thursday night I started 29th in the prelim feature, and I was up to 10th, and then got sent off the top of turn 3 and almost flipped. Then the next excuse me. Then the next night was my high draw night, so I got one spot out of a transfer in the heat race, so I had to go to a B and run the B, and then won the B that night. And then Friday night, I pull it. This is kind of crazy. I'm not a superstitious guy, but this will make you laugh. So it's the third night of the race, third night of the week. I'm in the third heat race. I drew a 3. I win, and then I redrew a 3 for the feature that night. Okay. Then I win that, and then that night is the same night as the All-Star race, so I have to go draw for the All-Star race, and I drew a 3 for that. And then I have to draw the neck or do the bag toss the next day for the front row, and I win the bag toss, so I start third. Like it was just the most trippiest 3. Yeah. So I had these two because they give you this year they gave you little like casino looking chips, and there's a 3 and a 3 and a 3, and I'm just like, okay. So Friday night I win the heat race and I drew the 3, and then me and it's kind of funny. Me and a guy from Bakersfield, California that I grew up watching are battling for the lead in this race, Kyle Heckman. And I pass him around the top because that's my favorite place to be. And I rip around the top, and I'm just ripping, and then there's the yellow. And then it's like the longest yellow I've ever been a part of in my life because I'm so nervous. Granted, it was a 20-minute caution. Like I go back and watch the video. There was like 6 cars on top of each other in turns 3 and 4. I'm like, okay, we get the one to go, take off again. I make one more lap, and then I kid you not, with no exaggeration, another 20-minute yellow because the same spot on the same part of the racetrack, cars flew off the top of 3 and got all sideways and everything. And at Boone, usually there's not that many yellows because if you make a show, you're like one of the top at that night. You know, the cream of the crop, or the cream rises to the top of Super Nationals. Like if you're one of the 30 cars to make the show every night, like or however many it is, you're pretty good. So the fact that there was 2 big yellows like that after back to back, it felt like I was in a sport mod race. You know what I mean? And so I rip the top the rest of the way around that race. I win and get in an interview, and I get to talk to Wade and everybody. And honestly, I stayed up till like 6 a.m. that night. I don't drink or party or anything, so I was just out hanging out. But I don't know if you guys are aware, Super Nationals is the biggest party you've ever heard of in your life.
I bet.
Yeah. And so like people stay. I usually wake up in the morning around 8 or 9 to work on the car for the next day, and there is people walking out the gate, drunk, walking out the gate that never went to bed, and you're like watching them stumble, and then they go shower and take a nap at their hotel and come back before the races start, which is the races at Boone start at 12 at noon. So they leave at 8, take a nap and shower, and come back hungover or still drunk to race. Like I have friends there that race with me there. Obviously I have friends there, but some really good friends. And they'd be like, I want to do good tomorrow. I'm like, so put the drink down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, put the drink down. It's just funny, dude. But they'll be like, no, I came to party. I'm like, did you come to party or did you come to race?
Yeah, it's the biggest race in the freaking world, but
yeah. So like I stayed out till like 6 a.m. that night, and the next morning I woke up, and this is kind of It's kind of dumb. But I have this thing called anxiety gag reflex. It's like a medical condition. And I'm not an anxious person, but when I get excited or nervous, I start like dry heaving. Like it's something I can't control. It's the dumbest thing. So people walk by and see me, and I'm like behind the trailer, the thing throwing up. But so all day, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start it right now. Gosh, thinking about it all day long. I'm prepping tires and stuff, getting ready for this race, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like I'm the most. I'm the biggest nervous wreck you've ever seen in your life. I've literally cut a tire. Like
it's hot. It's probably hot out, sweating your ass off.
Exactly. It's September in Iowa, and it's humid, and the corn's tall, and I'm just sitting there thinking like, okay, I start on the front row of the biggest race of my life. Don't screw it up, you know. And then Dylan Thornton, speaking of the devil, comes over a couple hours before the dance, and Dylan Thornton likes to play mind games, and I know that, and so I didn't take it to heart. But he comes over, he's like, "Hey, you start on the front row?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he knew I started on the front row. I just beat him in the bag toss, you know, that morning. So he's over, "You start on the front row?" I was like, "Yes, Dylan, I start on the front row." And he's like, "Hey, you want some veteran advice from somebody who started up there?" I was like, "Go ahead," you know what I mean? And he's like, "Since you start on the top, jump to start." And I was like, "What do you mean jump to start? Like this guy's trying to get me penalized so he can have my spot." You know what I mean? He's like, "No." He's like, "Go watch all the other races because you're 3 wide. They don't want to set you up again. They'll let it go." And I'm like, crap. So that made me even more nervous. Now I'm thinking about the start and blah, blah, blah. And so cut to later in the day, I'm parked and staging, and at Super Nationals, there's probably 20,000 people in the pits during big dance night. Like it is the most packed pit area you've ever been to. You can't drive your car, you can't walk. And so I'm parked at the very front of staging because I'm on the front row. So it's the coolest feeling in the world. And the stock car race was the most dramatic finish of the stock car race there's ever been.
That's when Kelly Shryock took up Murdy, right?
Exactly. Yeah, when him and Murdy are beating doors and Shryock wins and gets emotional and everybody's crying and screaming in the stands. And I'm standing on the roof of my car trying to watch this race because I can't see the racetrack, and my heart is absolutely about to fall out of my chest. Then we get to go. They do these big driver introductions for Super National. So I pull my car around to the front stretch, park in my spot. We walk all the way around the top of 1 and 2. They give you a hat that doesn't ever fit me, so I look like a freaking dude. It's so small. I have the biggest head, so I look all round and everything. So I try not to wear it, but they make you wear it. And so I'm holding my hat and glasses and everything. I'm walking through, giving the kids high fives, whatnot. They say my name and get in the truck. We drive around, and the whole time I'm looking and like it's me, Dalen Murdy, and Trip Gaylord in the truck because we all start on the front row, and people are screaming at Dalen like boo, and they're screwing with him, and he just waves back at him, and nobody really knows me that well. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of the new kid on the block. I don't spend a lot of time out here. I'm still really new to the modified stuff, so I'm kind of just taking it all in. Like the first time I made Super Nationals, I started 27. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was one of the first people in the truck. Nobody really cared. Nobody screams. And so I'm just literally like heart racing, heart pounding, and I get in the car and I'm putting my helmet on. You know what I mean? Dude, try not to throw up in my helmet. And my dad's there. You know, my dad is the biggest part of my racing career. I couldn't do any of this without my dad. Like even the night I won, the night before, you know, Wade was, you know, hey, you got a lot of people to thank getting you up and down the road. I was like, yeah, couldn't do this without my dad. Hashtag daddy's money. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so he's buckling me in and I take off and I jump the living piss out of the start, like jump it like crazy. And they never called it back. So I have the lead and I'm out front just ripping it absolutely as hard as I can. And I end up pulling away to over half a straightaway before the first yellow comes out. Well, then the yellow comes out with like 7 laps in, and my dad's telling me, you're good. Like, my dad's my signal guy. He's telling me, your lead's growing. Keep doing what you're doing. You're fine. And my car is set on kill. Like, oh, my gosh, it's so good. So I take off on the race start. I throw it into 1, and I feel it go click like that. And I go to get into the next corner, and the car doesn't move, and it just loses the right front and shoves all the way across the top of the racetrack. And I cam over the left rear with 7 laps into it, my 40-lap feature. Yeah.
Over indexed?
Exactly. And which is crazy is I ran the exact same setup to a T the night before that I won. Like I didn't change a thing because it worked. And so I went out and it cammed over somehow, shoved my shock all the way up to the deck, and I was running shock behind. So the spring is like this tall now. I have 3,000 pounds of load in the left rear and all the wedge you could imagine. So Dalen, however, I feel bad. I always jack up his name. Dalen gets under me. And I see his nose, so I go to slide myself so he can't slide me. We both slide all the way to the top of the racetrack. My left front's up in the air because, you know what I mean? It's just the most ill-handling race car I've ever had. And I ended up finishing like 12th. So it was like the most heartbreaking thing ever but it's still the coolest thing that I got to lead laps at the biggest race of my life. Well,
That is pretty cool.
yeah, probably one of the. It's
You
kind of
th-
hard to pick between the Dome and that is the biggest race, but it's one of the biggest races ever. So
it's hard to say because you're set. You think you'd have won it, everything in a perfect world. You think you're gonna win that sucker?
yeah, like I
That
hate to be that guy.
sucks.
Oh yeah, I hate to be that guy. Like we would have won, but I was. This is gonna sound super arrogant. I was the car to beat that feature. Like nobody was going to touch me because I had it set up to where I'd start off snug, obviously, because the track is hammered down. But by the end of the race, it was going to be so freaking cherry. Like, dude, it was so good. Like, I unloaded that car and hot lapped it the first day we hot lapped it because I tried my VC out. We tried some stuff with Chris on the VC. He wanted me to go experiment. And I got like 6th or 7th during the prelude. And I was like, okay, it wasn't bad. Like, I could have used this. And then I told my buddy Trevor Fitz. I don't know if you guys know Trevor Fitz, but he has a Harris car. He's like, hey, I want you to hot lap my car tomorrow. I was like, okay. Yeah, he locked in. Like he locked in. Trevor Fitz just moved to Marshalltown, Iowa. He lived in California, 2 hours away from me, just like Dylan did. He moves to Iowa, makes Super Nationals his first try, makes the All-Star race his first try. Like homie went all out, and I'm like, okay, I'll try your car. You know what I mean? Like I'll try your car, perfect. So I went in and I hot lap, and I'm like, you know what? This feels kind of familiar. So I unload the Performer the next day to hot lap because the way Super Nationals works, you get one hot lap session every day until you race. And so I unloaded it in a hot lap, and I was like, Dad, put the other car upstairs. Like this thing's good. So sure enough, it was just lights out all week. And realistically, without being that guy that's like, oh, we would have won if this didn't happen, I would have freaking won Saturday, in my opinion. That car was so good. You know what I mean?
That sucks.
Damn.
That's yeah. And yeah, hopefully you're good enough where you can put yourself in that position again. But it's like them big races, you got to be good, but you need some luck. And I mean, there's so much that goes into something like that. So, those aren't guaranteed to be in that position ever again.
Yeah, it's pure luck. Like I said, that 3-3-3 thing. Like I started up front. Like granted, I don't think I only did well because I started up front, but
Right.
it helps. You know what I mean? It helps.
Right. Oh,
and
definitely.
You could ask anybody. Like Jeff Aikey has won Super Nationals, and Scotty, his crew chief, car guy, shot guy, whatever you want to call it, son-in-law. I mean, we're all like family now. But he told me, he says, hey, just let you know, the funnest years are right now while you're trying to do well, because once you win it, it is the most miserable experience going back unless you win it again. And I'm like, great, that's fantastic. Because now next year I have this weight over my head, like you won last year, do it again. You know what I mean? But everybody says, even Dylan talked to me about it. It's like it's the most luck involved race you've ever been to in your life because there's 250 modifieds there. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's the most difficult race. And like Ethan Broxma set the world on fire last year. Like he won absolutely every race you could think of. If you saw the 111 roll out of the trail at the racetrack, you were like, damn it. You know what I mean? Like crap. And so he got involved in one of those wrecks in that feature that I was talking about and didn't make the show because of it. Like he just got absolutely hosed. And he was one of the fastest cars of the year last year by far. And so it just goes to show you that it's, so much luck, but God is good because luck was on my side. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's still pretty badass to say you won even a prelim night at the Super Nationals. Would be a pretty sweet accolade.
I think winning anything at the Super Nationals, whether it's a B main, a D, if you can win any sort of race at the Super Nationals, that's a big deal.
Oh, it is. It absolutely is. Because like even the B main, like the B main I told you I won Thursday night, like Broxma got second. You know what I mean? Like it is the most competitive field of cars you've ever seen in your life. And then you'll see some people like, I mean, I felt like I was almost one of those guys this last year. You see people roll up and you're like, I don't recognize that car. I have no idea who that guy is. And so you tell yourself, okay, I got it. And then you roll out for the heat race and he kills you. And you're like, where the hell did that guy come from? You know what I mean?
And then you never forget that guy's name.
Exactly.
You remember that guy.
That happened to me with Peyton Taylor. I was at Bristol when I was 16 when they covered it in dirt. And I didn't know it was Peyton Taylor. I knew who Peyton Taylor was because I was, my dad used to race Larry Shaw's, and Peyton and Jeff Taylor are brothers. They're legendary when it comes to IMCA, the coolest people you've ever met. Well, anyway, I show up and he's in this Acre Trader 01 green and white. I'm like, I've never seen this car before, so I'm not worried about it. Well, I get my doors blown off by this guy, and I'm just like, who was that? You know what I mean? I come later to find out it's a legend. But that's funny how it works,
Right. Hey, so you being in Waterloo, would you ever come up to you ever heard of Mason City Motors?
Yeah.
Would you ever come race Mason City on a Sunday?
If I had an open motor setup in a car, if I had an open setup, yeah, I don't see why not. I was actually supposed to go to Mason City with USMTS, but it rained out. So I went there and watched Jeff race late model. It's a cool track. It's kind of smaller, but not, it's big, but it's small. It's kind of hard to explain, the big banking, it's fast. They rip the fence down. I'd love to go.
I think it races wider than it looks,
That's
in
true.
my opinion.
Yeah, it's like, it kind of reminds me of Houston. It's like smaller, but races big,
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we race, like I said, I live in Stewartville, which is just about 5 miles north of Deer Creek Speedway. So we race Deer Creek on Saturdays, and then these guys live in Winona, just over there by Mississippi Thunder Speedway. So those are kind of the tracks we race weekly, and then every once in a while we'll go down to Mason City and whatnot and race on Sundays. But Zach almost won his first modified feature there at Mason City last year.
Did.
What do you lead, like 18
I
laps?
probably led like 17 or 18 of the 20.
Oh, dude. Oh,
And
no.
the race, it was like a $2,000 to win race, and my best friend, like I was the best man in his wedding. And
no way. He got you with 1 to go or whatever, 2 to go?
I jumped out of the rubber.
Oh,
I had
dude, that sucks.
I had went down and blocked him in the rubber, and then I had been pulling him off a 2 on the top the whole race, and I went right back up, and
Do you know who Jake Tim is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's who got
That's
him.
who it was, yeah.
Oh no, well shoot, that crap, it's hard to hold him off.
And then wasn't Jim in third? Or who was in third? Someone good.
Yeah, it was Jake, Jim, and Rodney were
Jim Chisholm and Rodney Sanders.
Was it a USMTS race or was it USRA?
It was a USRA
Sunday night race with 15 cars, but there was 12 guys that could win the fucking thing.
It was
you got the guy who got
Brandon
second
Davis
and third
was there.
in the
Yeah,
freaking 100,000 at Fountain City behind you. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Are you coming up for that deal at the end of the month or no? I didn't know if.
Yeah, I have my open motor still, but actually I just got it messed with a little bit. I have to be discreet, but we have some stuff coming up, some exciting stuff coming up. Like so exciting that you guys might have to do a part 2 with me. You know what I mean? Like,
oh shit.
But I can't talk about it. And so the farthest I can tell you is my career is expanding very soon. But it's all for some
good
reason.
For you. We'll just say
let's go.
Well, thank you. But I genuinely I wish it would have happened a little, like it's all about to happen. So I wish it would have happened just a little bit sooner because I could talk to you guys about it, I think it would make a really interesting part 2 later.
Well, we'll have to bring you back on
here. We can
here.
definitely have a part 2. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So, I'm glad.
We got you before your big time. All we're gonna ask is you've been on the podcast. I'll ship you a sticker. You just gotta throw it on the race car somewhere. How about that?
I got you. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't remember if I told you or not, but I absolutely love this kind of stuff. Like, I've been on a couple, like, I don't know if you guys know Dirt Tracks and Rib Racks. They're a couple of guys from Indiana.
Okay.
And they have they're mainly sprint. Yeah, they're mainly sprint car guys. And so because I came from that world, they're like, hey, like, we never really had a modified guy on before. So I got to go and do a couple of episodes with them, some really cool guys, and I absolutely love media, the interviews, the podcast, the whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? So like I tried convincing Jerry Van Sickle and Ben Dethridge at Boone this year at Super National. I was like, hey, give me a mic. Let me do something. You know what I mean? Like, so they actually had talked about, it ended up falling through, but we had this whole idea set up to where I'd get to do some stuff on the microphone. So like anything that has to do with social media or cameras or microphones, I eat it up. So this works for me. Yeah,
it's fun, dude. We've gotten to talk with some pretty cool race car drivers, and
well, if you look here, I got my wall of. We got Dustin Sorensen, Tyler Erb, Devin Moran, Troutman, Rodney Sanders.
Troy Morris is about to be up there.
Yeah, Troy Morris will be up here somewhere.
That's what I'm talking about. Dude, my car will stick out all yellow and everything, No, I'm not going to lie. I went through and looked at all your guys' episodes. I didn't watch them all, but I looked at them and I was like, dang, like, I'm a huge Uncle T fan. Like, I love Tyler Erb.
We do too.
So I saw him laying on his bed in his underwear or whatever when he did the interview with you guys. And I was laughing. And then, like, obviously, I like Garrett Alberson, and I got to race with Sorensen a little bit at, like, Mississippi Thunder and stuff. And so it's cool to see. And obviously, everybody knows Chase Holland. He's TikTok.
I forgot we had him, too.
Yeah. So it's cool to see that you guys have already gotten this caliber of drivers on there, I'm not me. I'm saying, like, them. You know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of funny. Honestly, this all started, like, I don't even.
This wasn't even supposed to be it
was kind of a joke. Like
Speed Lab was just gonna be a joke at first.
Yeah, it kind of started off as a joke, and then like I don't know, we kind of started getting a little bit of traction with some stuff, and then we did a podcast right away with just like our group of guys just kind of talking the shit and whatever on YouTube. And then like I had people come up to me like, do more of those. Like those are I like watching them, and so we just not saying we get a ton of views on them, but I just reach out to people like I reached out to you, and like worst case scenario, they're gonna not respond to me, you know, like I've sent messages to Ricky Thornton and Bobby Pierce and all these guys, but I don't know. It's kind of cool. You can get some guys on and just like you, like I said, I've watched you race before. I didn't know a lot about you, but I knew this kid can wheel the shit out of a race car. And it's like I want to talk to this guy and get to know him. And yeah, it's kind of cool. You kind of make connections with people and whatnot. And like Tyler Erb now, I mean, not saying I had talked with him before our podcast, but like I saw him last weekend at the Dairyland Showdown at Fountain City, and he kind of pointed at me and he remembered us, and just it's just kind of cool.
No, that's super cool. I mean, it's funny because before podcasting was huge, I have this friend who's like, I, I don't want to call him out, but he's always like the next big thing guy. You know, he's like, dude, we need to start a podcast. I was like, what do you mean start a podcast? He's like, and it's him and his brother. They're my best friends for life. They race midgets in California. But he's like, dude, we need to start a podcast. And I was like, what are we even gonna like? I had no idea what a podcast was. You know, I was like, I didn't listen to podcasts at the time. Now I listen to podcasts every day. But I was like, you're stupid. Like, what are we gonna talk about? It's like talk about racing. You literally just sit down with a microphone with your friend and you talk and people watch it. I was like, that sounds crazy. You know, I said,
All right.
I said it's not gonna work. And look at this now. You know what I mean? Like I feel like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Look at Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's the biggest.
He had freaking the president on there.
Yeah, and then even like Theo Vaughn had the president on there. You know, you just see all these people that have these major guests, and then I'm not gonna lie, it's super impressive that you guys have had these big guys on. You know, I'm not saying people are hard to tie down, but sometimes like I'm kind of surprised I saw your message on Facebook because I never really get it. It was on Messenger, right? That you reached out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never see those, and so like
I don't
just
see mine either.
Yeah, I happened to see it pop up, and I was like, "Oh hell yeah!" You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's why I texted you. Right, I was like, "Here's my number," because I never respond to these. Like,
Yeah.
I feel bad because sometimes I'll go in there to find something, or so somebody will tell me, "Hey, I sent you something on Messenger," and I see like the request thing,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of messages. I'm like, "Ooh," you know what I mean? Like, my bad, guys. Like, my bad. You know.
Not
So
just blowing you off. I just haven't checked them.
No, people will tell me that on Snapchat too. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm floating my boat, but I have a decent following on social media. You know, nothing crazy, but big enough to where it's hard to keep up with sometimes. And my dad already yells at me for being on my phone. So I have these Snapchat. Like, if I click unread on Snapchat and just scroll, like especially from stuff like the Dome, they're still on there, and it just keeps going because I always respond to your first message. Like as soon as you message me, I'll message you back. But responding again, like it gets lost. You know what I mean? It's gone. So people come up to me at the race, be like, "Hey, I messaged you on Snapchat." And I'm like, "My bad."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see it, or I saw it, and then sometimes on Snapchat it's hard too because all that is that little Bitmoji. And some dudes don't use their real name, so they'll come up to me at the racetrack and be like, "Yeah, I'm so and so." Like, sorry, your Snapchat says like 420 kilo. You know, like,
Yeah.
like I didn't know. You know, my bad. But it's funny.
Yeah. No.
One thing about that too, I mean, just like getting the guests we've had on here, I think like if people just like sit and think about it, all it is like you said, we're just talking racing in front of a microphone. So it's like I feel like it'd be hard for someone to really say no to it. Because all you got to do you're pretty much just promoting yourself for free. You know, if you were to get, none of us get asked to be on other podcasts, but we're on our own.
Well, if I started one, I have you all on, I promise.
All right,
perfect.
No, but I'll plug this wherever I can. I mean, some of my videos pop off every now and then, so hopefully it'll get you guys some.
Dude, we had one the other day on TikTok. Like it wasn't like crazy, but between TikTok and then this guy shared it to his Facebook, it had like 250,000 views. And it was literally just a stupid meme I posted. It was like you might have saw it. It was a picture of Tyler Erb, and it was, you ever seen that video with Zac Efron where he's like singing along and he's like, "I'm trying, share," you know what I'm talking about? And it was like,
was it the kid with the Clements one?
Yes,
or whatever?
that
yeah,
was
I saw that. Yeah, okay. Dude, I laughed so hard because people always told me that as a kid because, you know, dad paid for my stuff. So, like, Tom Berry Jr. sent that to me. And I'm like, Tom, like, damn you, Tom. You know what I mean?
So the funny thing was, everyone thought there's this kid named Bam Bam or Brock Pinkerness or something. I don't know. He's some like 15-year-old kid that races a rocket car down in like Alabama. Everyone thought it was directed at this kid, so I think that's why it got some of the traction. And it
Right.
100% was not. It was just it like you said, it was just ripping on, like you said, kind of daddy's money, like my old
Yep.
piece of shit trying to keep up with the rich kid with the good shit. Like it wasn't targeted at a certain
Yeah.
person, and
Right.
everyone was tagging this kid.
That's hilarious. No, I saw it. I might have reposted it. I did something because I was laughing. Like I had a couple people send it to me because I'm young and my dad, obviously I'm 20. I'm 20 now. It's weird to say that. I'm 20. I can't afford to do this at the level we can. Thank God my dad can help me out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I just clear the air real quick. Most people don't realize like my dad doesn't even touch the race car. Like some people always thought because the background I came from with the open wheel stuff, a lot of this is like that, where the dad pays for somebody to work on the car. Like, dad don't touch the car. You know what I mean? Like it's me, and then dad will drive to the racetrack. So it's a cool dynamic that we have. It's like I run my own race team. It's pretty cool. But no,
Okay.
that video, I laughed so hard, dude, and I saw it everywhere. And then a bunch of my friends reshared it, and I was dying.
No,
The
it
one
was
that kicks me up or cracks me up too is like there's this kid, there's like he's at the bottom of the stairs and he's got his one foot at the bottom of the stairs, his one foot spread way out like 4 steps up, and it's like junk race car, worn out shocks, junk tires, new wrap on race car. And he's the new wrap. I'm like, that's so fucking true. It's like
It
your
is.
priorities. What do we need to make us go faster?
wheel
New
covers and
wrap.
wraps.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, don't get me started with wheel covers, dude. My dad gives me so much crap. So we make our own wheel covers on a router table out of polycarbonate. And so it costs us like a couple cents a wheel cover now instead of $40.
Right.
And so
You
when
should
we got
ship
to go
us
to
some.
right, dude. I mean, hey, shoot. But they're all white. I mean, they're all white because of the material we use, but you can wrap it or whatever. But anyway, at the dome, I was so excited that I got to run left side wheel covers. Like IMCA, we can't do that. And so I know USRA, you can't do it either. So like I went and put 4 wheel covers all the way around, and my dad was looking at me just like shaking his head. I'm like, hey, it looks cool. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? So when it comes to, I put on, I have great sponsors behind me, so I don't want to sound like I do it all myself, but I put on like 6 or 7 bodies a year normally because I'm so anal about how the car looks. And if I have the resources, I'm going to do it. So my dad owns a sign company, so we make all our own wraps. And then I have sponsors that provide material for the doors, quarters, skirts, whatever. So when I can, I'm kind of that guy, but I try to keep up on everything too. So I'm not the guy that only does the nice wrap. You know what I mean? Like I make sure
Do
the
other
underside's
maintenance
good
too.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I make sure below the body's good, and then the body has to look good too.
Right. Do you run those you run the plastic doors and quarters?
Oh yeah,
Are
and
those
the
the
plastic nose too.
you do have a plastic nose? That's the way
Dang.
to go.
Yeah, dude, it's the best thing I've ever done. I haven't beat out a quarter panel in 2 years. Like it's awesome. It
That's
is literally the
sweet.
best. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still got aluminum, but I think next year I'm gonna switch because I'm not as hard as you are on right rears probably, but I found out enough of them, and we went to Deer Creek for opener, and this is by no means bashing Deer Creek. They had a shit ton of rain.
A lot of rain.
Like, yeah, they probably shouldn't have even raced, but we did, and it was a nice night, but it was just track was wet, and it got rough. And I told my dad, I'm like, we spent uh you put a new body on the car and you make sure everything's nice. You got the nice plastics and everything lines up, whatnot. It's like first night and there's holes, this deep. And I'm like, I am not driving my nose through that. Like I will rip around the wall before I drive my right front through that freaking rut. Well, I was doing that and we the guy kept sliding in front of me, and I finally kind of got around. I'm like, okay, I got to try passing on the bottom. Well, he kind of slid up, and I went underneath him, and he kind of I don't want to say he ran me down, but I had to drive through the ruts. Made one lap through the rut, whole nose, brace, everything gone. I mean, just
Gosh.
sheared the bolts off the brace. Nose was rolled under. Motor went from like 190 to 230 in like 2 laps because it was throwing it full of mud, and I plug
Yep.
and yeah, but
Don't even get me started with this stupid dude. This is so embarrassing, but I literally went through 4 noses in 5 weeks. I'm
Holy
not like,
shit.
yeah, I had to Frankenstein them together. Like the plastic stuff you normally can fix, but it had ripped them apart, like shredded them. And I kind of figured out why. And I went and looked at another. I make all my own stuff, and so I went and looked at another performer, and his nose is like up here, and my nose is like right here. And I was like, oh, maybe that's why. Like I thought I kept raising it every time I rebuild a new one. Raise it a little bit, raise it a little bit. Well, I just put a brand new one on last Friday night and folded it Friday night, and I was like, I jacked it up as high as it would go and just re-drilled new holes, and it's all
Pissed
high and
off.
everything now. Yeah, I was like, oh, screw this. And then I went to a track on Sunday that was the roughest racetrack that I've been on all year so far, and I was like, thank God, like it survived. I'm good. It's sitting in the shop right now, all pretty still. And so the nose crap, dude, done it. It's miserable.
Yeah,
I should be
Last
a
year,
plastic. I'm a plastic
go
surgeon at
ahead,
this
Zach.
point. Oh,
I was just gonna say last year, Parker, you probably know what I'm gonna say, but last year I went all year, my first year in a modified, all year. I never touched my nose. And then the last night, pretty sure it was the topless race at Deer Creek, the last night, like 3 laps to go, I just went straight into the infield and just
oh dude.
I went a full year of like 50 so nights, like racing quite a bit. Like I was on that USMTS swing that you were on. I was just in the B mains in the back.
No.
But
I remember you
last
said you
night,
killed me at Deer Creek. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know because
Or not Deer
I
Creek.
was rough. I was
West
rough on that
Union.
whole weekend.
West
No, West
Union.
Union. Yeah, I was
West
jumped. I
Union,
remember
I
you
had
blew
like
my
a
doors off.
yeah. West Union was that whole swing for me was just bad weekend.
Yeah.
Same, except for the first
Zach
time.
Zach went 50 nights, and then Parker and I went a whopping 14 laps and tore the noses off our race cars. Parker went 8 laps.
I didn't even make it. I'll put it this way: Deer Creek last or 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting in staging. I start six. And I'm thinking the middle to the top is pretty smooth. I'm like, let's just get through the first corner. And I'm sitting in staging going, God, my car looks good. Nose is straight. Everything just built the body. I'm like, this thing looks awesome. And I'm like, I just hope someone on the front row doesn't spin out on the first corner. What happens on the first fucking corner? Guy
You
Bonzai
jinxed it, bro.
turns sideways. I get on the binders to missed him, but then I locked it up so hard. Rodney Sanders runs right into my left side
Tears
door.
his nose
The car
off.
shears my bumper nose right off, and I'm like, I drive it back down the pits. I'm scraping gravel, and I get out. I'm like, what the fuck? Brand new nose, left side's fucked up. I'm like, son of a bitch. So then the next
Oh,
day comes by,
dude.
and I'm like, going to Fountain City for the Dairyland. I'm like, I have to get this looking good again. So what did I have sitting in the back side of the shop? My nose from last year. Took the good size
Took
and plastic off it
it
and
hit
put the front. The front was still good.
No
It
way.
looks new. I'm
he
like,
had, he took the blue stickers off the nose that had
I
like
did.
tire marks on them from
Yeah.
the wheel or the tire turning too much and just took
Dude,
those. It looks good.
I
that's
can't. That's
genius.
one thing on a modified. You can't have fucked up left side doors. They can't be too high or too low. You have to have a good, symmetrical, well, well leveled nose, like with the roll of the car. And then the A pillar left side game's got to be good with a big fat sail panel all the way back to that nice 6-inch spoiler. It's got to
Oh
look
yeah.
nice. And if it's
Yeah,
not,
you always have good look.
it mentally fucks with me because I'm like, you feel good when your shit looks good and it's clean and it's straight. You feel good when your stuff's bent up and you're pounding out that door 3 times. You're like, what the fuck? It's time to put a new one on because there's something about just having a fresh
Exactly.
wrap, straight nose. You
It
just
is
feel good.
it is
Home track, you look good,
100%.
feel good.
It is 100% a mental thing. I agree. Like when I come out in, first couple weeks in May and my car's not all swirled up and, my shocks have been gone through and everything's fresh, like you have a different level of confidence rolling out onto that racetrack than when you roll out in September and your car is just wadded up and your quarter panel's hanging on by, I mean, things shredded, been patched, and I just feel like you drive with more confidence.
Yeah. Well, like I just it's funny because I just posted a TikTok. I try to make some relatable stuff, So I was sitting on I unloaded my car and I was sitting there looking at it because I love to sit and look at my race car. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, she sure looks sexy right now. Like the way it was just sitting there on the concrete. So I was like, I'm gonna take a video. I took a video and I posted a TikTok. It's got like 7,000 views already and 1,000 likes. And all it says is sitting and staring at your race car with like a greater than sign. And
I
it just
saw that.
blew up. Yeah, it just blew up, and I'm like, see, everybody likes it, like everybody does it. That is funny.
See, the thing that I don't understand about social media, like I do most of like our TikTok stuff whenever I post most of that stuff, and Like I'll have one and I'll just be like, this is funny. Like this is a great idea. Get like 300 views. And then I'll post
Yep.
this stupid like
Dumbest. Like,
and it'll get 100,000
what's
views.
what's the one you posted with the like dying crate motor or
No,
something
that
that
was
ended
so
up?
our buddy posted one, and have you ever seen the video? It's like it's the boxer girl. Her face is all beat up. She's like, "Yeah, it was fun, and I really enjoyed it." So it was like that, and all it said was my crate motor after its second night in a row on a half mile or something, and
I think I seen that.
it
I did see that.
it had like like not even 1,000 views on Facebook. And like this was like 4 months later, and somehow it got into the algorithm, and all of a sudden my phone is just blowing up. Share. Got like 124,000 views on Facebook in like one day. I mean, it was just like
Oh my
it was
gosh, dude.
crazy. And
That
like,
is
Social
crazy.
media is nuts.
yeah,
It is weird, dude. Like I posted this stupid. I don't know if you remember that TikTok trend that went around. It's like maybe we'll meet at a bar. He'll
I'll
drive a
drive up.
fancy.
Yeah,
Yeah. So my buddy Jackson, he was like, look, I'm gonna post this, and he posted it. I was like, okay, I'll make one better. Like just we're always competitive, you know. I was like, I'll make one better, and his got like 1,000 views, you know, nothing crazy. And I posted mine, and it's me dancing with like my buddy's girlfriend's cowboy hat. Like
yeah.
I was doing that, you know, and then it switches over to a video of my car all yacht up at the dome, and it just hit 75,000 views I think today. It's got like 10,000 likes, and he says, "What's the difference in yours?" It's like I don't know, I'm just better. You know, I just feel like that. It's just funny,
Just
like the random stuff that pops off. Like I have a video of me that says like everybody says run the bottom, run the bottom. You know, it's harder to pass you on the bottom. And then it says, but when I get on the top, I'm on a rail, son, and it's me at the dome again. Like I use dome clips a lot because they get a lot of views, you know, and it's me just
yeah.
ripping the fence with the dome, and it just hit 138,000 views. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's just like so crazy.
It's so crazy because yes, some stuff like you said, Jackson, just like doesn't work, and some stuff really does. But most of the time, it's the dumb stuff that people just laugh at that just like takes off. Like Jake one time
Oh,
posted a picture of a cow like flying through the sky before the Dairyland Showdown, and I'm pretty sure that one went like wild.
That's funny.
It's nuts what actually takes off on social
or
media.
then you'll like I'll spend like 45 minutes to an hour on like CapCut, like editing videos of like I'll take like videos of all of our cars on a weekly show and I'll like edit them in and I'll like edit music in. I'm like, this is fucking cool.
Yep.
400 views.
Yep.
Then I'll post a picture of our race cars race day at Deer Creek Speedway and it'll get or whatever. I'll post some stupid video and all of a sudden it gets, it gets a bunch of traction. It was just this 10-second thing I posted. It's so
I
weird.
I learned to stop
The one
putting
that
effort into those
gets
videos. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say the ones that get a lot of traction, Jack, that crack me up are we pick on our local tech guy all the time. Like we'll
You
take
know
a
who Darlow is? Do you remember from USMTS?
Jack took a clip from The Hangover,
Yeah.
the first
Yep.
Hangover when they get the car impounded, and he's like, "I see assholes like you every day." And it's like my deck height 81 inches, and the deck height used to be 39, and then it's like that clip, like I see assholes like you every day, and every fucking day, and then that one will go wild. And then we'll post one of Darlow. He's like the main tech guy for USMTS and USRA, and we'll just like kind of like lightly and it gets passed on and lots of views. Because it's funny, because people are like, 'cause it's like you roll across the scale with the 40-inch deck height, and he's like, oh, got to be 39. You're disqualified. And you
I
take a
just
picture.
sent
You
it to you,
see
Troy.
Jack drops a picture of him, and he'll tag him sometimes too, like literally tag him in
Oh
his
no
post.
way, dude.
So he gets some
Well, that tech guy, I know exactly what you're talking about because like I went to Webster City the first night. It was just the USRA night, and he was there. In my car, I transferred out of the heat race into the top whatever. You know, I started front row of the feature or something. So I went through tech after the heat race, and he was like, "You're good," and I took off. I was like, "Okay," and then I come back for USMTS, and I qualified whatever, and or I don't think we got to qualify that night because of something or whatever. And I make the redraw and I go through tech again, and he's like, "Your cell panels are illegal, your decks are illegal, your spoilers this, you can't have that." And I'm like, "What the?" You know what I mean?
What
Like,
changed?
yeah, and I didn't know that the cell panels had to have the bow like in the middle, and my spoiler had that lip on the back. He's like, "That lip has to be bent down." I was like, "Okay," and like all this little stuff. But I was like, "Why didn't you tell me last week when there was like 12 cars here?" You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't know. It's
get,
just funny
get
that you said
this. This is a last week we're going through, and he literally comes through our pits, and he looks at my car, he looks under Zach's, and we had to trim Zach's sail panels, and level out his roof, and he looked underneath. Kind of looked underneath the hood or whatever. Well, we didn't realize this. It's kind of funny to talk about now, but tagged engines, so they're 374 cubic inches or less. So you have to run a tag on the left side of your head, and it's got to be run through the head bolt. So he looks at my car, looks at Zach's, like doesn't say anything about it. So we left the 8400 chip in Zach's uh car. Comes through the heat race. Zach gets second, I get third, and he flags the first. Zach rolls up on the scale, and I see he looks at Zach's right front. Then he comes to the window. I see the guy take his front lid off, looks at his chip, and I see Darlow get down a knee and talk to Zach. I'm thinking there about I'm like, fuck, he's getting dude. What did we miss through the pre-tech? Comes to find out, we forgot to tag the engine. It was an honest mistake by our engine build, but she got
Why do
DQ'd
you
for
have
that.
to?
But it's just he looked at everything throughout the day. Like he's like, gotta change your sail panels, gotta do this, and this.
And we are
Changed it before
like
race time. Only get fucking DQ'd.
100% not trying to cheat, and that's why
Oh,
we asked him to come look through this stuff because it
yeah.
was like we don't want to get caught.
As
We're
legal as
trying to be,
possible.
yeah, we don't want to cheat. So like look at
Yeah,
it and tell us what's wrong and we'll fix it. And
I
then
don't want
I
to say
just
I like.
Before you
waited.
go across the
Oh, sorry. Shoot. I was gonna say I don't
You're
want
good.
to
You
sound like I
buffered for a second.
butter. Okay, I don't want to say I butter the tech guys up because I don't, but I'm just nice to everybody, and so like, I'm just all smiles all the time, like just naturally smiles, and so I roll up to tech at Vinton this Sunday in Iowa, and the guy has teched my car every time I've been to Vinton ever, like every time, and so he comes over, he's like, "Who's this guy?" Like I hear him talking to the lady that's writing the stuff down. Who's this guy? She's like, he's from California. He's like, oh, California, huh? I'm like,
Oh,
homie, you saw me
shit.
last year at this race. You know what I mean? He was like, oh, California, huh? And I was like, yeah, but the good part, trying to get him to like relax a little bit. And he goes, okay, I'll find something wrong with your car. I said, no, you won't. My car is 1,000% legal because I have never cheated in my life and I never will cheat. So I know, I'm like confident. I'm like, no, you won't. It's 1,000% legal. He's like, okay, all right. He says, just do me a favor, because I don't know if you guys know, but IMCA has seals on the crate motor, so they every seal has a serial number. They have to match whatever.
Seals.
He's like, yeah. He says, all right.
Yeah.
He stands up his back and he leans his shoulders forward. He goes, all right, just make sure your seals are tight because I've got myself a couple free crate motors. I'm like, great, like thanks. So I'm just like, the dude's just trying to intimidate me. So then I get third or fourth in the feature that night, Sunday night, this last Sunday, and I pull in a tech again. And he's like, all right, let's see. And he goes and he takes the hood off and he's grabbing all my seals. And he's not like checking them. He's like ripping on them. I'm like, homie, you're trying. You're trying. You know what I mean? None of them move. And then he takes, we can't run any aluminum parts. So all our wheel spacers have to be steel and everything. And mind you, he didn't do this to any other car. Not a single other car. He takes this long magnet out and he's touching everything. He's touching everything, and everything's sticking. Everything's matte. Everything's steel.
And Troy's just sitting here watching.
Yeah. No, see, this is something I'm confident in. So I'm not gagging. You know what I mean? So that only comes out when I'm nervous. I'm not nervous at all. I'm like, homie, you ain't gonna find nothing. So he's touching everything, and he's like literally ripping on the seals, and then he doesn't even say anything. He looks up, and he walks away. I'm like, okay. And he goes to the other cars, and every other car is done within 5 minutes. And I'm like, I told you, like, ain't nothing wrong. And so I got my money and I left, and he didn't say another word. And I'm like, dude, you freaking like, I told you everything is cool. I told you this car is good. Like my box, like when you make the show at Super Nationals, they do these really intense tech sessions. Like you bring your lift inside the shed, they take all the tires off, you take all the shocks off, you take the carburetor off, they stick bore scopes in it. It's like intense, and everybody's always scared of tech. And I'm just sitting there like talking to all the tech guys, like, "What's up, dude? Like, good to see you," And so they take your box apart, like your MSD box, the digital dials on it. They take the dials off and they put this tape over it that's like blue and it has serial numbers on it, and they like scan it or whatever. And so your box is sealed off. That way they don't have to tech you again Saturday before the feature, or after the feature. So literally he undoes my thing and the box is still sealed from Super Nationals. You know what I mean? I never took the tape off. My knobs, I never took the knobs off. It's still completely sealed. And I was like, as you can see, like this
Haven't
car
touched
passed
it.
Super Nationals. Yeah. And he's like, I walks away. I'm just like, thank you. I'm just all smiles and nice. And I was like, screw this guy. It took off.
Fuck
Just
him.
funny, dude. Yeah, just funny.
I think most racers want to be, they want to be legal and not push the limits, but then there's some that they're like are always running the gray area. And I feel like with Darlow, that's what he's looking for is the gray area. And if you're, body rules are body rules, right? You got too much bow, your roof's raked, you got to fix it. Totally understand that. But some of the shit, I'm just like he was saying something with clearance under our bird cages, and like you got to be able to stick your finger under here, and or else it's gonna hit when it's on the chain. I'm like. I
Why
looked
is
at
that?
it. How can it go any farther if it's on the chain? I don't have a biscuit chain. If it's just a chain, how can this travel any farther? Well, if you're when it's rolled over and your right rear is coming up and that left rear is coming down even farther, and he's like, in theory, it could touch. And I'm like, you got a chain. Hold on, unless that
Yeah.
chain my shock's topped out. It's like it can't travel any farther. It's like I
And
wasn't worried about that, but it's like he's sticking his finger in there. He's like, see, you don't get my finger in there. He's like, see this car, how I can't get my finger there? He's like, that's got to be changed. I'm like. Whatever. We'll change it. I don't know what you want to do. We'll take a little bit of droop out of the car and you'll have more clearance with your lower rod and your bird cage. It's
What's
like
your
I
what's
don't
your
know.
favorite?
That
well,
one kind of just baffled me how he
yeah,
thought about that. It's like how can in theory how can that travel anymore if it's on the chain and your shock's topped out? That rod can't get any closer to your rear end tube or your bird
it's
cage.
called a
Like
limiter chain
it,
for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
It
I
limits
just
travel.
and that baffles me because I should be allowed to run the lower bar touching the birdcage if I want to. Like, why can that's not a rule? You know what I mean? Like, I can. There's guys I've talked to that do the stupidest stuff that's not a rule, and like in the IMCA world, a lot of guys are messing with camming over on purpose, like on purpose, and so they pull off the track like this, and their cars are, and then they have to go through tech, and I'm like, hey, check his deck height. It's just a joke, but
your
the
deck height's
lifters that
46 inches.
50.
Just
Yeah. I'm never that guy,
Did
but
you
it's
watch?
just funny.
Did you watch the 100,000 last year when Dillard cammed over at Fountain City and
I was in
just
the stands because I didn't
yeah?
make the show. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I seen him cammed over into yellow, and I was like, dude, how is he still driving that? Because like I had been cammed over in the past, and I know it becomes really hard to drive. Like at Boone when I was leading, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but obviously it depends on where your shock's at. Like if
And
his
he
shock is
got
in
he
front,
got faster. It seemed like
And
almost
that
yeah,
thing was cammed over
the
before the
50
halfway
lapper.
break or everything. Like he was sitting there out of it, or I don't know if they could. No, they probably didn't get out of the race car. But
I
yeah,
don't
he
remember
was
if he
sitting
got
there
it or
on the
not, but
front.
I saw it sitting on the front stretch like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I told my dad, I says, I don't know how he's gonna hold on. Like I just don't know how, because usually when you came over, like it jams the drive line into the transmission, the left rear's rubbing on the frame, and it's like not good. It bends left rear shock, all kinds of stupid stuff. And he went out there and freaking just absolutely waxed him. Like I swear to you, he was able to stick the right rear better. And I'm just like, how are you doing this? And then funny story, I was in Arizona earlier this year during the Winter Nationals and stuff, and I'm leading. And at the halfway point, the yellow comes out. And when the yellow came, or I'm leading and we're banging. This track is big. It's a big 3/8, super high banked, and there's a wall all the way around it. And I'm banging the wall, like not actually on the wall, but on the wall, banging the wall. And I feel it go click, and something breaks in the left rear. I'm like, not again. Like I thought it cammed over again. Well, then the yellow comes out because I ain't gonna stop until the yellow comes out. Well, the yellow comes out, and the car falls on the left rear, and I like half spin on the back straightaway. Like it was like I look like a squirrel. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what just broke? And I knew it was the left rear trailing arm because I could feel the left rear tire go back and forth like this. So the lower left rear trailing arm snapped. And normally when that snaps, my drive line rips out, it breaks the chain, And I'm like, well, I have 10 laps to go. Do I pull in or do I try it? And like one of my best friends at the racetrack is Chaz Baca. And he pulls up under yellow next to me and he's like, hey, like steering with his elbow. He's like, bro, like he's doing that. And I'm like, I know, like if I
I'm
can
gonna
get
run
it up
it.
on the ball, yeah.
I want to try it.
I told him, I says after the race, he's like, dude, I thought you were gonna go out and spin out in front of us, so I chose the bottom on the restart. I was like, you know what I mean? And I was like, no, I mean, as long as I could get the car up, because it wouldn't get up on the bars. Like I'm what, and it's just flat, like sideways. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not gonna work. And so they say lights out down the back straightaway, coming to green this time, leader out front, blah blah blah. And so I'm like, here we go, let's try it again. So I crank it right, crank it left, and I stand on the gas, and it gets up, and I'm like, buried my foot in the brake, like stay on the bars. And so I take off, and it's actually driving not as bad as I thought it would. It's not fun to drive, but I have pictures. You can see it hanging on the racetrack, and I freaking still win the thing. And because it's just banging the cushion, so I made it work somehow. And then it started taking rubber in 3 and 4, so I have to slow down and run through the middle where it's rubbering, and I'm like, the car is like doing this hoppy thing on the left rear. So then you can see me as I take the checkered and I let off, because I let off as soon as I passed the line. I'm like, I don't want to drive this thing anymore. The car drops and I like half spin on the front stretch, after the checkered. I'm like, dude, this is the sketchiest thing I've ever done. And we look down in Victory Lane. My dad's like, something's broke on your left rear. I was like, yeah, no, you know what I mean? Like,
you should see what I've been going through the last 10 laps.
So the Heim is still in the trailing arm mount, and the bar, because I run a bent lower left rear, the L-shaped one or the J-shaped one. It had somehow flung up when I did that bar up on the restart and pinned itself in between the body of the shock and the upper trailing arm. So it just held. And that's the only reason I was able to finish, because it put everything in such a bind that the driveline stayed in the car. Like the sketchiest thing I've ever done. And so I got out and I was just like looking at it. I look at the sky. I was like, "Thank you, God!" Like, like that's absolutely
appreciate that one.
luck. Yeah. And so Chaz comes up. He's like, "Dude," he says, "I thought you were gonna go spin out in one, so I chose the bottom and I got third. Thanks." You know what I mean? I was like, "Sorry, my bad."
Dude, guys like him, I hear stories like that and they just piss me off, because like I need everything perfect to happen to even have a small chance of winning. And this guy's out here beating Chaz Baca with a freaking broken off left rear trailing.
No, dude, I swear to you, it was just like if the track conditions were any different, I was hosed. And then my luck, I used it all that night, because the next night I'm leading with 5 laps to go and monster truck the wall and lose it. So absolutely monster truck the wall. Like I hit the wall so hard that it put a hole in my timing cover on the front of the motor. Like, yeah, it was that bad.
Holy shit!
So I was about to go 3 in a row at that track that weekend, and I had to give it all away with 5 laps to go. It just freaking sucks, dude. It sucks so bad.
Yeah. Well, hey Troy, we're gonna cut this off here. It's about 10 o'clock. He's got a baby. He's probably got to go wake up here in a little bit, and he's gonna be up all night. We got to work in the morning. We'll stay tuned for part 2. How about that?
Absolutely.
Big news for TM3 coming soon. Troy, quick, if you just want to shout out, all the people that support you, maybe some of your upcoming schedule, we'll get you off here and yeah, call her good.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun being on. You guys are a bunch of cool people, and I could talk for hours. I didn't realize what time it was already. That's crazy. But first and foremost, I gotta thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ always, absolutely. And then I gotta thank Advanced Line Contractors. Troy Sandwiches, Troy Morris Trucking, Stevenson Suspension, and the Magic Man. In California, he's still always rooting me on. I gotta thank Andy and the boys over at Precision for this amazing race car I have. I gotta thank PEM. Hyperco Springs, Blue Springs or bust. If you guys are on iBox, you suck. No, but Hyperco Springs, PEM ends, Fast Shaft Drivelines, Performance Bodies. They do a lot for me. I got a lot of people that give me up and down the road every week. Schedule's kind of dead right now. I have to go back to California. I leave Saturday to handle some business over there for 2 weeks, and then I'll be back, and then I'll be back to full bore racing again. So my next race will probably be Spencer for that 15,000 to win race they have over there. So. But yeah, thanks again, you guys. Thank you to everybody, like I said, that's got me up and down the road, and hopefully we do have a part 2 very soon.
Awesome,
sure.
Man. Yeah, it was a
Appreciate
lot of fun.
you coming on, dude. That was a ton of fun.
No problem.
Everyone watching, Waterloo, Iowa, Troy Sandwiches. Go get yourself something to eat. Go ahead.
I want to plug my socials too, because I'm trying to build that up. Follow me on Instagram. Sure. Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Troy Morris 307X. Follow me on TikTok. TikTok, it's exactly the same. All my socials are the same. Add me on Snapchat. I'll add you back most likely. Sorry if I don't. Just TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. And just hit up my socials for me. I got a lot of funny stuff on.
For sure.
Rock on, dude. Hey, I'm excited to see what the future holds for you, man. I hope things go good, and
maybe we'll cross paths one of these days at the racetrack.
Oh yeah, I should. If these plans are as good as they're supposed to be, I should be at Deer Creek sometime in August, I think. So hopefully I see you guys up there. Yeah.
Exciting. Well, yeah, we'll get you a GM Speed Lab sticker sent over, get you that thrown on the car, we'll get you a hat and whatnot, and maybe we'll see you around, all right?
All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right.